Well, hello everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I'm doing my May TBR. I know I'm a couple of days late with this. So the first novel on my list for May is a book entitled The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, written by Holly Black. So this is a dystopian thriller novel that takes place in Cold Town, a town of vampires and infected pets, I do believe. So the story follows a girl named Tana, who after an evening spent partying, wakes up surrounded by corpses, all drained of blood. And the only other survivors of this massacre are her ex-boyfriend, who is infected and on the edge, and a mysterious boy, Gavriel, I think his name was, who also materializes in the party's gruesome aftermath. So Tana ends up escaping with both of the guys in order to find a way to save them all. So this sounded very intriguing. So the next book on my list is We Are the Ants, written by Sean David Hutchinson. So this follows a young gay teen boy named Henry Denton, who has spent years being periodically abducted by aliens. So then, at some point, the aliens give him an ultimatum. The world will end in 144 days, and all Henry has to do to stop it is push a big red button. And I'm not sure what that big red button does, so I'm looking forward to delving into this book. So the third book on my list is a book entitled Love Letters to the Dead. And this is written by Ava Delaria. So this book follows Lauren, who has an assignment for her English class, which is to write a letter to a dead person. So she chooses Kurt Cobain because her sister, May, really loved him. And he died young, just like her sister May did. So soon, Laurel has a notebook full of letters to people who've died, like Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse, Amelia Earhart, Heath Ledger, River Phoenix, and many more, though she never gives a single one of them to her teacher. So she writes about the abuse she suffered while May was supposed to be looking out for her. And only once Laurel has written down the truth about what actually happened to herself can she truly begin to accept what happened to May. So I've heard really good things about this book, and I'm excited to read it this month. Okay, so I have a few ebooks and ARCs that I also need to read this month. And the first one is called The Ghost of Normandy Road. So an old uninhabited house stands on Normandy Road until one day, believing an urban legend that nobody dares to live there, a young boy decides to cross its threshold. But the house is far from empty, and supposedly something horrible now has been unleashed once he enters the house. So the boy ends up in the house for three nights in order to unlock its secrets. But of course, will the boy live to tell the tale? So this sounds like a great thriller. So another ebook that I plan on reading this month is entitled Rowan, Tales of Conor Archer. And this is actually a book that I won in a Goodreads drawing. So this is an urban fantasy novel about a teenage boy named Conor who learns that he isn't a regular human being. In fact, he isn't human at all. After his mother dies, he returns to Wisconsin, my home state, to live with his aunt. And there he learns why he's different and ends up meeting other strange characters along the way who kind of steer his future for him. I do believe this also has a Celtic twist to it, if I'm not mistaken. So it sounds like a really good book, and I'm looking forward to reading it. So the next book on my list is a book entitled Detour, which isn't out yet. I received this as an ARC from NetGalley. So this story follows 18-year-old Ethan Dominy, who's still reeling from the sudden loss of his best friend slash boyfriend over a year ago, and who's embarking on a 6-week cross-country road trip that they had planned all throughout high school. So he nearly runs over a boy named Nick Hamilton, who's also 18, during a really bad storm. Nick is also running away from something, and he has only the clothes on his back. I remember the blurb sounded really intriguing, so that's why I requested it. So I'm kind of looking forward to reading this one. So the next book on my list is a book entitled 14 Summers. So this book follows two identical twins, Aiden and Max. But now that they're in college, Aiden is itching to discover who he is outside of his twin identity. So Oliver is excited to run into the twins, especially Aiden, who is the object of his childhood crush. So once he encounters Aiden again, Oliver's crush comes back full force, and the feeling is mutual. So when Aiden begins to drift away, Max can't understand how his own twin could choose a boy over him. And then drama ensues. So sounds fun. So the next book I plan on reading in May, hopefully, is a book entitled To Kill a Mockingbird. After reading The Catcher in the Rye last month, I wanted to start reading more classics. So this month I decided I'm going to do To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, I did read this in high school, but it was so many years ago that I really don't remember it too much. So it'll be just like diving into a new book. And the next book on my list is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the Mortal Instruments series, the Shadowhunters series, and I did manage to finish the second one. Actually, the end of it, last day of April. So I did make it on my April TBR list. But yeah, so I hope to finish the third one in the series. So my goal is to get through one of the Mortal Instruments series every month, and then I will move on to the Infernal Devices series, written by the same author. The next book on my list is entitled The Price Guide to the Occult. And I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this, and it sounds really intriguing. So a woman named Rona Blackbird landed on an island more than a century ago, and she had otherworldly skills, witchy skills, I believe. But guilt and fear led the island's original 8 settlers to burn the witch out of her home. So once they did so, Rona cursed them. So fast forward 100 years later, we follow Nor Blackburn, who wants to live an unremarkable teenage life. But then I guess there's a mysterious book that surfaces, and promising to cast any spell for the right price. So Nora senses that there's a shitstorm coming, and she's pretty sure that she's going to be smack in the center of it. So this sounds like a fun book to read. So the next book I'm planning on reading this month is entitled Poet X. So this is a novel written in verse, told in 3 parts, about a 15-year-old girl from Harlem who is the daughter of 2 old-school Dominican parents. So supposedly she keeps these notebooks and fills them with inspirational quotes and all her thoughts. So a flyer hanging in the hallway at school catches her attention, calling out to all poets, rappers, and writers for a spoken word poetry club. So when she's invited to join the school's slam poetry club, she doesn't know how she could ever attend without her mammy finding out, which they would not be happy at all about. But she can't stop thinking about performing her poems. So I've heard a lot of good things about this book. It sounds interesting, and it's also written completely in verse. You know, just not long ago I read A Long Way Down, which was also a novel written in verse, and I really enjoyed that one, so I'm looking forward to reading Poet X. So the next book on my list is a book entitled Cinder, and this is by Marissa Meyer. So this follows Cinder, a gifted mechanic and a cyborg who suddenly finds herself at the center of an intergalactic struggle and a forbidden attraction as well. She's kind of caught between duty and freedom, loyalty and betrayal. So she has to uncover secrets about her past in order to protect her world's future. So this is actually my first Marissa Meyer novel, and I've been looking forward to reading this one. So I'm doing that this month. I have that one in ebook format. So this is the 13th book that I'm planning on reading this month. It's called The Miseducation of Cameron Post. After her parents' death, Cameron Post comes to live with her old-fashioned grandmother and her ultra-conservative and ultra-religious Aunt Ruth. So Cameron is eventually outed, and she's sent to God's Promise, one of those pray away the gay camps, religious conversion camp, that's supposed to cure her homosexuality. So at the camp, Cameron comes face to face with the cost of denying her true identity. And this sounds like a very fun book. And it's been on my list for a while, too. So one more book that I'm planning on reading this month is a graphic novel that Matthew over at MCS Books mentioned. I think he received it for a birthday haul. So I really don't know anything about it. But what little I've heard about it, it sounds kind of intriguing. But I don't know the storyline, so I'm looking forward to delving into this one. And so that's it. That's 13 books for May. So this might be overly ambitious as I'm heading out of town at the end of the month, but we'll give it a go and see how good I'll do. So that is it for my May TBR. So have you read any of these books? If so, what are your thoughts on them? And if not, what are you reading this month? Always looking for new ideas. And so that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.